Busy little week here in the world of sports on the local front, coming off a busy little weekend. We'll talk about a good bit of that. Get into some Penn State football talk, of course. And, you never know what other trouble we may or may not get to. Did think, just for grins and giggles, we'd try something a little different today on the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. We decided today, and maybe today only, we'd bring on both Goon and Ironhead on the Goon and Ironhead show. Just an interesting thought.
Just a new concept out there.
Yeah, we're going to experiment with it, kick it around.
I think it was 3 weeks.
It's been a while. It's been a while since we've both been here between wrestling travels and Super Bowl travels and sickness and et cetera, et cetera. So thank you for Chris Buchanani, Landon Tangwall. I think Mike the Mailman got involved there. So thank you to the Dear Booch in particular, but to everybody that helped out over the course of the last few weeks. And,
me and Booch just had lunch.
Let's start with Penn State football, Goon, because I do think the running back coach hire, you kind of felt James Franklin was going to get a good hire, and certainly, on paper, at least, at the very least, it does look like he did exactly that. And I think the momentum that we had talked about, maybe a little bit of a hiccup when Jawan Sider takes what seems like a lateral move to Notre Dame. I think that hiccup now is behind them, and it feels like that momentum is kind of full force here, rolling toward the 2025 campaign.
Absolutely. It goes back to what James has always said, that he has a little black book of like guys he's coached with in the past, guys he's met in the past, interviewed in the past, interviewed with, this and that, hung out with. He has a pretty clear idea of who he wants and needs. So if a position does come open during the a time like that he has 5 or 6 guys that he could call that he would feel comfortable with, and some of the names, DeMarco Murray, being thrown out there with Stan Drayton, and some pretty good names being thrown out there. And getting Stan is a nice, it's a good little hire for us right there, and good for the offense. I mean, it's a pretty good room that Jawan had created in there with all the talent in that running back room, and hopefully we can grow it from there.
Yeah, and again, the recruiting front, I think, is kind of the bigger component to it, or at least in my mind, the bigger fill. And it feels like, again, wait and see how everything plays out, but it feels like that they met the challenge there in that regard. Now, again, time will tell in terms of seeing exactly how that plays out. But it does feel like a very good hire that addresses the needs. And again, I think for Penn State, it just allows them to get back on the right side of the momentum here heading into the upcoming season and the good vibes that surround the program. I do want to mention just real quick that it was interesting. Penn State women's lacrosse today was supposed to be did head to Pitt. Was supposed to be a 4:00 face-off initially, and then got changed to 11 a.m. so that they could get it in before weather hit in western Pennsylvania. Then they said, nope, we got to move it indoor, which makes sense with how cold it is out. And so then they pushed it back to noon. So we went from 4 p.m. to 11 a.m. to 12 noon. And after all of that today, Penn State loses a hard-fought 12-10 battle at Pitt. So the Nittany Lions are now 2-2 on the young season. So just a quick update on an event. It's not often that an event occurs on the day of our show, before our show begins, but that was the case today. Penn State women's lacrosse losing at Pitt by a 12-10 final.
Are we getting weather again? Because I haven't heard anything. Is it south of us, or are we getting?
It's looking more south of us. Okay. Stan Drayton, again, with head coaching experience, which I think James Franklin likes.
Yes, he does.
Albeit at Temple.
Yeah.
Still head coaching experience, and I think Drayton, again, just feels like a good hire, a good fit. Certainly from an experience standpoint, I mean, he's coached about 20 different schools and, again, brings the head coaching experience from Temple, but has been running backs coach at a lot of very good programs over the course of his career. And so I think just from a stabilizing standpoint, it's a hire that makes you feel like, oh, okay, this is set in a good position moving forward.
Yeah, I love, and then, you mentioned it with the head coaching experience, and then that's invaluable because there are situations that Stan's probably been involved with, maybe James hasn't, and James may lean on him and say, hey, what did you do? Or does anybody have an experience in like that? I mean, little stupid stuff happens. Like I tell the story all the time. I think one preseason when I was coaching, weather was just a horrible. We were inside most of camp, and we were sitting there, and some of the other coaches and younger guys were like, oh, how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? And one of the older coaches was like, dude, you don't think Joe's had a camp before where it rained a lot? Joe just went back to his notes and went through and said, what did he do then to get through, to catch up on the time. And then, the same thing with other head coaches. I mean, you go to them and say, hey, have you ever had this experience? And then James could ask, Stan, and Stan would say, hey, we did this to try and cover the time and try and catch up and try and meet up a little bit. And, the head coaching stuff is invaluable when it comes to a gathering of them because you just run ideas off each other of how yes, I know it was Temple, but they don't exactly have the great facilities, and there's probably an issue where they needed the facility, and Stan said, you know what, we did this one time, and that may ring a bell with James, who knows? It's always good to have different options, and again, I do like talking to head, I know James does too, and talking to other head coaches of how they handle these situations, because the more input, the better.
Yeah, and again, I just think that the staff across the board just feels like an elite staff. I felt the same thing last year, and I think even with a couple of changes this year, it feels like every bit as good, if not a better staff. And that commitment that we talk about with Penn State, I think is significant because when you're making the push to win a national title, and again, not all things are going to be equal, and that's just that's life. But I think in terms of, hey, Penn State put out big money to go get the guy they wanted as defensive coordinator. They are when you look at and I'm not even sure I follow all the rules anymore in terms of the analysts and the folks you can have around your program. But Penn State feels like it is, at the very least, keeping up with the Joneses there in that regard. And I know some fans had some fun, and it just kind of cracks me up. It's like, Ohio State, national championship team, best team money could buy. Like, yep, that's the game. They went out and played it better than anybody else. Again, you can sit around and complain about it, and wow, yeah, they just went out and paid for their team. Right, that's the way it works these days. You better be. You don't necessarily maybe need to be the top paid team, but yeah, you better be up there if you're expecting to compete for national titles. So you can complain about it and, make the snide comments all you want. If you want your program to be in that position, your program better be doing the same thing, at least to a competitive degree. And again, I think Penn State is doing things very competitively right now. It is interesting. The different ways that different athletic departments, and I don't know that everybody yet is settled in on how this is going to play out. But Penn State is all in on football. I think Pat Kraft is going to do everything he can to help the basketball program. I know this thing got derailed this season, but I still like the Mike Rhodes hire. Hopefully a little luck on the health front next year, but kind of a pivotal year now next season, I think, for this program, for the basketball program. But I think you look at what the hockey program is doing, obviously wrestling, and we've got some wrestling news talk about here in just a little bit. I think where Penn State is deciding it is going to be competitive, it is going to be very competitive. Now, I know of at least one Big Ten school that it's notified all of the other programs, hey, just so you know, the $22 million or whatever it ends up being, that's going to our revenue producers. That's our football and our men's basketball teams. So the rest of you, like, we're going to do scholarships. Yep. We're going to get you your facilities, but just don't be thinking you're getting any of the revenue share here, because that's not the way we're playing it. This is one of the things that, again, I just think is going to be fascinating to watch over the next year, but then over the next 5 to 10 years, how this changes and to what degree this changes the landscape of intercollegiate athletics.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. If you don't mind, what school came out and said that?
Well, I don't know that they've come out and said it publicly. They've told their coaching staff
to keep that quiet.
But the non-revenue sports that, hey, just so you know, you're not getting this. Yeah. The revenue share is not for you guys.
I'm okay with that, and I'm sure the coaches are actually too, because it's just like, you can go out and get your own NIL deal if you're playing a what were you going to call it? Non-revenue sports? Is that what we're going to call them?
Non-revenue Olympic. Take your pick.
They have the ability to go out and get NIL deals and sponsorships all they want, and I'm sure, I know that they will. I mean, wrestling's not considered a profit sport, right? Those guys are making big time money right now on NIL deals and stuff like that. So it's on the player to go out and get that.
Some of them are making good money. Yeah.
Well, the same thing with football. I mean, some of them are making good money, but not all.
Yeah.
But I respect the school for saying that, for telling them and being straightforward with them, and then not beating around the bush, and that's how I feel it should be delved up. I mean, there is that attitude that I still have in the back of my head that when we were playing with, we funded all of these sports and stuff like that, but we got nothing above and beyond what anybody else did. And that always stuck in my craw a little bit, I guess, but it was the way of the times, and everything changes as it has now, and it's for the better. Hopefully they start making more and more money. I mean, heck, I hope that they do. I hope the kids are making some serious coin right now. Now I go back to what I said for a long time now, and are we doing these kids favors by giving them $100-some thousands of dollars as 17 to 21-year-old kids, and then when they're 25 and they didn't make like my one buddy said, not more people are making the NFL, not more people are making the NBA, not more people making MLB baseball. There's not a higher percentage of guys going to those leagues, but now we're funding these kids at younger ages, and what's going to happen when they're 28 and they have to get a real job or a real world job? And like, hey, this is $75,000. You're going to say, well, are you kidding me? I was making $150,000 when I was 17 years old. I mean, are we lying to these kids by giving them this money? I don't know. There is that fear out there. But I mean, I'm never going to complain. And I appreciate that school going out and saying that to their other athletes and other sports. And I'm sure that the athletes do too. I'm sure they weren't happy about it, but I mean, they have to understand.
Yeah, again, we've talked about it before, but there's just an inequity from athletic department to athletic department to begin with, because of the number of programs that a school has, the number of varsity programs. So there are SEC schools that have 16
Yes.
programs, and then there's Ohio State, which I think has 36 varsity programs. So more than double what some of the compatriots in the SEC have. And so, again, if you're a Big Ten school, you're trying to be competitive in the sports that you have maybe some history in, or that you think you ought to be competitive in. Maybe you put a little money into those programs, and then make a decision on some others that, hey, yep, we're allowing you to continue to exist. Even the scholarship situation, I am just really, really curious to see how this ends up being handled across the board, and to what degree, again, this really changes the landscape. Because in a sport like wrestling, again, I don't know that you're going to have any of these programs. You have 30 scholarships, and I'm not exactly sure. I think it's over a couple of years that they work their way to it. I don't think it's an immediate thing.
Okay.
So, but when they get to the 30 scholarships, and I think, and I don't hold me to this, I think it's next year, like the 25-26 academic calendar, that across the board these sports go up to the, and again, some of these sports are doubling or tripling, like wrestling is tripling the scholarship offers. And the other thing that you're changing there, and this is going to be an interesting thing to see too, is you have gone from sports that had partial scholarships, right? So you could divvy up. Wrestling had the 9.9. Well, you might only have 2 or 3 kids that were on full scholarship, and then some that were on 3/4, some that were on half. And I mean, you might have 30 different guys on your roster that were getting some portion of a scholarship. Probably not that many, but I mean, you'd have certainly more than 10 guys that were getting some scholarship money for your program. Now it is you're either on scholarship or you're not. And
there's no more knots, though, right?
Well, on your roster that you can. So this is what. So if you are a baseball program and you have, I forget what the numbers are, but let's say it's 40 scholarships available for your baseball team. How many baseball teams are actually going to field squads with 40 rosters? Probably not too many. Now, there might be, again, I haven't sat down and really analyzed that part of it, but like in wrestling, at the most, and I'm not sure even those 3, but like Penn State, Oklahoma State, and Iowa maybe would think about going to 30. I'm not sure any of those 3 would even actually go a full 30 scholarships, but maybe go 20 plus 25, let's say. Well, now are you actually expecting to have, and I'll use air quotes, competitive wrestling with schools that are only able to offer, like there are some D1 schools now that are offering 6 or 7. Well, they're not suddenly getting the money to go to 30. They're not. They're probably staying right where they're at, and that's if they're lucky. So, are you really expecting teams with 25 scholarships to be competing against teams with 7 or 8 scholarships, or even 10 scholarships? And if so, for how long do the schools that are giving the fewer scholarships say, yeah, boy, this is really fun. We want to keep funding the program that just keeps getting its butt kicked all over the place. Or, hey, maybe we could save our money there and put it into whatever couple of programs. And even with some of the smaller schools, it's like, all right, let's go in more all in on a sport or 2. And I'm thinking here of programs that don't have like D1 football that, let's go all in on our basketball program or baseball, softball, whatever it may be.
You may have explained this to me before, but it didn't click and didn't register. Why go from 99 to 30? Was there a rational?
They wanted. I don't know that anything is rational.
Well, I understand the 105 in football because
it.
there's no more walk-ons. So there's only 105 guys on the team. All of them are on scholarship. That has to do with the profit sharing. I would assume. I don't know. But why would they go from 99 to 30 in wrestling?
Well, and the other thing is, are the conferences going to step in and say, listen, we know the NCAA has allowed 30 scholarships, but let's be real. We're going, the cap is, let's just say 20 for wrestling in our conference.
Could they make a low cap too and say you got to have at least 15?
So, I mean, I think you could. I don't know why you wouldn't be able to do that, but the danger becomes with any of these sports, again, if you have half of your conference say, okay, no, 15's required, we're good. Yeah. See ya. Yeah. Well, then for how long does the sport survive? And again, maybe maybe you have 20 schools. Again, I've been saying for a while, I do think we're heading toward pretty much across the board in college athletics, and even with football and basketball, maybe not reduced the way some of these other sports will be, but I think you're going to have fewer programs say, yep, we're all in here. Let's go 105 scholarships. Let's try to be big time with our football program. Now, where that number settles in at with the schools that are willing to do that, again, you might have more that are willing to do it in basketball because it's less upfront investment. Again, if you get the right 10 scholarship players or 3 or 4 of those scholarship players in a given year, I mean, you could make a run or a turnaround pretty quickly. So basketball's numbers, I would think, will still stay relatively high. But again, in terms of D1, what we think of now is D1 football programs, and then certainly D1 everything else, hard to envision to me how those pools don't shrink. And again, how much they shrink, do we get to like 10 teams in some of these sports? Or, is it pretty much across the board? We get 20 to 40. I don't know. And some of the sports where you have a lot of athletes and there is some expense, I don't know. I don't know if everybody just gets together and says, all right, yep, we're going to provide, and I'm making up the number, 10 scholarship opportunities for like track and field or for swimming and diving. I mean, some of these sports where, again, a lot of opportunities in terms of rosters, but not a lot of revenue opportunity, not a lot of folks that are attending the events. Could those sports just become club sports, or do we have enough that say, yeah, all right, we want to be a big time diving, swimming and diving team, or a big time track and field program? We'll do what we need to keep ourselves involved as a big player in those sports. I don't know. I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see how that plays out here in the coming, really in the next year, but then even more so over the next few years as athletic departments start to get a handle on this, and as student athletes start to get a handle on this. And that's the other thing, Goon, is, we keep having predictions, and we've seen some drop in terms of high school participation in football. Well, football is one of the very few vehicles that you have now athletically to get a college scholarship. Do you see those numbers go up? And what does this do to the high school numbers for, again, everything that's not basketball and football? And I think right at the moment, we don't really know the answer to that. I don't think we have a real good handle on that. But I think it is concerning for all of the other sports, at least the possibility that, hey, we might not have scholarship opportunities in our sport, or at least very limited compared to what it's been over the last several decades. And this is men's and women's sports.
Yeah.
There's a lot to watch and keep an eye on, and there's a lot of folks that are still trying to kind of figure this out and brace themselves as best they can for, all right, how do we position ourselves so that we can handle this to whatever degree you can handle it.
I know football and basketball are historically in the red, or in the black, excuse me. Most of their sports are like hockey teeters, right? Where they do make some money, they don't make some money, they do make money some years. Are they profitable?
Most hockey programs are
non-profitable.
Yeah.
But what if
there's a few
they go on a run, they make a final, they win a national title, and they are profitable? Is that then profit shared? It's just a hypothetical, but
yeah, I don't know that there's.
And there are enough football programs out there who lose money, by the way.
Oh yeah.
So now, how are they delving that out?
That's a very good question. And again, if you're setting the mark at $22 million, which is again what
you're just going to add $22 million into your debt.
Well, or more likely, a bunch of those schools will say, "All right, we'll see. It was fun. It's been fun. That's
playing, how they weed out. Then that's how they weed out."
So, yep. And I think again, we'll start to see those decisions made here in the very near future.
How many? 18 teams in the Big Ten? I bet you probably 10 profitable.
Well, and that's the other part of this is, at least in the sports that are not football and basketball, men's basketball, they're going to have to get back to some sort of regional scheduling more often than not. I suspect anyway. Or again, maybe you just have every school selects a handful of programs that, hey, we're going to stay quote unquote big time in this. And again, you have the 20 to 30 schools in each of those sports that are willing to do that, whatever that entails, whatever that means, and you move forward from that. We'll take a break here. When we come back, I do want to talk some Penn State Wrestling. The Intermat rankings came out today. It just keeps getting more astounding. We will talk a little bit about Penn State Wrestling and the borderline absurdity of riches that the Nittany Lions now have, and just how ridiculously high the expectations are now for this year's squad. We'll kick that around as we continue. It's the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here from Quaker Steak and Lube on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fall.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing and State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The Fox. The Goon and Ironhead.
Oh, those guys.
Hello.
We're back here on a Tuesday afternoon, and yeah, Penn State Wrestling. We talk about how high the expectations are for this program and the possibility of, I think this program setting a new standard in college wrestling with this year's team. The Intermat rankings came out, and again, we still have another week in the regular season, and then the all-important Big Ten tournament in terms of importance for seeding and qualifying for the NCAAs, and then obviously the national championships are what it is all about. But Intermat rankings come out today. Luke Lillidahl drops 2 spots to number 9 now at 125 after he was pinned by Brendan McCrone of Ohio State in Friday night's meet. That's fine. I don't think it's a big deal. I think Lillidahl is primed to have a terrific Big Ten tournament. With the exception of getting caught there, I just think he has really turned a corner here and caught another gear, as I kind of thought he would. It's just we've seen this pretty consistently with the high-level freshmen, whether they're redshirting or competing. You kind of usually see end of January, heading into February, those guys catch that other gear. It just kind of is the time when they start putting things together, figure out, all right, this is
I'm not a freshman anymore. I belong here.
Yeah.
I can do this.
And you can see that with Lillidahl. Now, again, it's a very good weight class. I'm not guaranteeing or predicting anything. I'm just telling you, he is going to be a really tough out for anybody, anywhere, when March rolls around here. So, regardless, he's ranked 9th. Braden Davis holds steady despite his loss to Lucas Bird, who is certainly a national title contender for Illinois on Sunday. So Davis holds steady at number 7. And then this is where history has been made. Penn State has 8 wrestlers, each of the final 8 weight classes, who are ranked either number 1 or number 2, meaning if you went by the rankings, and this is not how they do it, this is not what determines your NCAA finals, but it is fun to look at it and realize if you took the rankings right now and projected them as your NCAA finals, Penn State would have 8 wrestlers going for individual national titles on Saturday night in Philadelphia. The most ever is 6 into the NCAA finals. And, of course, no team has ever had more than 5 individual champions. Over those final 8 weight classes right now, you have Bo Bartlett coming off the win over Jesse Mendez, is now number 1 at 141. He had been number 3 for, actually, I think for the entirety of the season up until now. So he goes from 3 to 1. Shane Van Ness is holding steady at number 2 behind undefeated Caleb Henson of Virginia Tech. Tyler Kasak, who is making good progress, by the way. I don't know whether he'll go against American, but he'll be ready to go for Big Tens. Tyler Kasak is number 1 at 157. Mitchell Messenbrink is number 1 at 165. Levi Haynes is number 2 at 174. Carter Starachi is number 1 at 184. Josh Barr moves up to number 2. And this is interesting. They dropped AJ Ferrari down to number 4 this week after he did not wrestle in the dual meet this past weekend. And I think maybe a little bit of a message being sent. I'll be curious to see if the coaches poll follows suit, because Ferrari really, and he's a great wrestler, and I don't think anybody's going to be shocked if he goes out and wins the national title this year. But he really has not, he's undefeated, but he really has not wrestled any of the top contenders, nobody in the top 10. So Intermat at least dropped them to number 4. So you have 3 Big Ten wrestlers now ranked 1, 2, 3. Stephen Buchanan of Iowa is number 1. Once beaten Josh Barr, only loss is to Buchanan, is now number 2. And Jacob Cardenas is number 3, the former Cornell standout now at Michigan. And then you have Ferrari now at number 4 at 197. Then Greg Kirkley, who again was under the weather this past weekend, I think should be good to go for the American dual meet and certainly for the postseason. And he is number 2 behind Gable Steveson at heavyweight. So again, 8 wrestlers ranked in the top 2. Excuse me. Is
what Kirk Cleveland has.
It is ridiculous to have 80% of your lineup projected by the rankings in the finals. And again, I would not rule out either of those first 2 guys from being able to get there as well. I think Braden Davis is getting back into the swing of things. I think he will be poised and ready to go when the Big Ten tournament rolls around. And again, Lillidahl, we already talked about, I just think is primed for some pretty special postseason success as well. So got to still go do it. Got to see how this all plays out. But certainly the potential is there for this team to really erase any doubt about what team in NCAA wrestling history is the best.
Yep. Well, what would I mean? Put the Ironhead on the clock here. What would you rather have? The most All-Americans, the most ever national title winners, most ever national title contenders?
Yes.
That's a good one.
And the thing is that this team, and that's why this team is so special, is could it get 10 All-Americans? And again, there's nothing guaranteed.
It's only been happened once.
I'm certainly not going to be shocked. And it's like, oh, man, no way that didn't happen if they don't get all 10 on the podium. But again, they have all 10 guys are ranked right now in the top 9. So,
wow.
And 8 are ranked in the top 8. Or 9 are ranked in the top 8. So the top 8 earn All-America honors for those that don't follow the sport closely. So Lillidahl would have to work his way up. And again, he's going to be seeded if he stays healthy. Always my caveat. But if he stays healthy, he's going to be seeded in the top 8 because he's going to have a showing at the Big Ten tournament that will demand that. So we got to see how all of that plays out. But I think there is a very good chance they will have all 10 guys seeded in the top 8 at the NCAA tournament. So, yeah, the 2001 Minnesota team, again, is the only school in NCAA wrestling history that had all 10 of its starters as All-Americans. That team that year had, which is remarkable in and of itself, had none of those 10 were in the finals. So all 10 of their wrestlers finished between 3rd and 8th at their respective weight class. Minnesota, for years, has contended that makes them the best team, that really was a team where they didn't have the absolute superstar individual, but they just had a lot of really, really good guys, and they did, and that is a special mark in NCAA history. There have been now, 5 teams over the years that have had 5 individual champions. Iowa did it twice, Penn State has done it twice, and Oklahoma State did it once. This team certainly has the possibility of having 6 individual champions. It has the possibility of having more than that. But again, when you look at, and I'm going to use air quotes, true national title contenders, in my mind, and maybe debatable here, but I think Luke Lillidahl is a true national title contender, regardless of his ranking here at 125. I think Braden Davis, it's sounding more and more like Ryan Crookham. We'll wait and see. That there's still no definitive word out of Lehigh as to whether he is going to give it a go in the postseason. Either way, again, do I think Braden Davis is capable of beating anybody there? Yeah. Now, is he going to be a substantial underdog against Drake Ayala or against Lucas Bird, who just beat him here on Sunday? Yeah, but with this coaching staff and with another couple of weeks of Braden being able to get himself feeling really good physically and, getting that confidence where he wants it to be, I don't rule out the possibility of Braden Davis being in the national title mix at 133 as well. Certainly from 141 on. Again, Bo Bartlett just beat the returning national champion. I think there are 3 elite guys there. Any one of them, I really do, and I've been saying this from the start of the season, and I'm going to say it straight through. It is a coin flip bout, in my mind, between Mendez, Bartlett, and Alirez. I think any of those 3 are capable of winning the national title. Any of those 3 could finish 3rd. And listen, it's wrestling. Is it possible one of them gets caught and finishes below 3rd? Sure, of course. But going into the tournament, I really think those 3 guys are elite and kind of up here. And then you have a bunch of really good guys that, again, it's not going to be shocking, the most surprising thing you've ever seen in sports type of stuff if they upset one of those 3. But I think it's unlikely. I think those 3 have been consistently at a little higher level than the rest of the group there at 141. So going into the tournament anyway, I expect one of those 3. And again, I think Bo Bartlett, I would put his chances right around 33.3%, which is where I'd put Jesse Mendez's chances and Andrew Alirez's chances. So that Big Ten title bout, presuming it is Mendez versus Bartlett, and if they're both healthy, I do presume that, is going to be a really important bout in that the loser of that bout is almost guaranteed to have to wrestle Alirez in the semifinals. Any of those 3 would tell you they'd rather just face one of them once. Again, whoever almost guaranteed, whoever loses the Big Ten title bout is going to have to face Alirez and then the Big Ten champion. in order to win the national title. That's just a little tougher road than whoever the 1 seed is. So just for that reason, I think that Big Ten title bout. Now, could Mendez go out, lose the Big Ten title bout, and turn around and beat Alira's and beat Bartlett in the finals? Of course. And same thing if Bartlett loses. Could he turn around and beat both? Yes. Again, to me, coin flip bout every time any of those 3 meet. It's just going to be very good, high-level wrestling, and it's going to be a move that you feel like is going to be the difference each and every time any of those 3 meet one another. At 149, I think there's probably a few more guys in the mix here. I just think Shane Van Ness, I really think is the guy to beat here. And I know Caleb Henson, and nationally, folks will tell you that he's the guy to beat. He's the returning national champion. And he is outstanding. Again, I'm not going to be shocked if Henson wins it. I just think Shane Van Ness, when he wrestles the way he is capable of wrestling, with his ability to score points from all positions and to be able to find a way, again, from any of the 3 positions if he needs to, in that final 20 or 30 seconds, I just... Again, there's probably 4 or 5 in my mind, 4 or 5 guys there that have a real shot at the title. But in my mind, Shane Van Ness is actually the favorite, even though if Caleb Henson wins the ACC, which he's expected to do, he'll go in as the 1 seed. And if Van Ness does win the Big Ten tournament, which is certainly no guarantee, he would be the 2 seed. I think if that is your NCAA finals matchup, buckle up, because that is going to be a really fun, really good wrestling championship bout. 157, again, there's probably, in my mind, at least 3 and maybe as many as 5 or 6 title contenders. Tyler Kasak, I just think has a little different gear to him now, and a little different confidence to the way he's wrestling. He's seen all of the styles. He's matched up with all of the styles. I think he's improved in the areas that he needed to improve on in order to be a legit title threat here. His mat wrestling is really good. The takedowns have always been really impressive for him, but I think his ability to get off the mat, his ability to ride when he needs to, can be a real difference maker. And again, if he wins the Big Ten title, he'll go in as the 1 seed to the NCAAs. Mitchell Messenbrink is Mitchell Messenbrink, and we're talking about one of the all-time greats here in our sport, and it's just again, there are people out there, it's like, well, you might as well just give him the title now. We've seen crazy, crazy things happen in this sport at NCAAs. Am I predicting anything other than Messenbrink winning it? No, but I'm just telling you, there's a lot of coaches and a lot of really good wrestlers that are out there waiting for that one moment where they can shock the world. So, it's just never a given in this sport, no matter who the wrestler is, no matter what you think going in. Now, do I love Messenbrink's chances? Do I think he's poised to win it and win it handily? I do, but again, you got to go out and do it when it counts and avoid getting caught and becoming a big story the other way. But certainly Messenbrink is a prohibitive favorite to win the title at 165. 174, again, there are several guys that I think pose a real challenge here for both Levi Haynes and Keegan O'Toole, but kind of like the 3 guys at 141, to me it is Haynes and O'Toole up here, and then a really good group of guys below them. But I will be very surprised if it's not Levi Haynes and Keegan O'Toole meeting in the finals. And again, nothing guaranteed. There's a lot of guys that'll be in the mix there, and I think will certainly give good challenges. Carson Harchla, Levi Haynes, to his credit, got the win after giving up the initial takedown in that Ohio State duel. Harchla is outstanding. I mean, if you told me that, hey, neither O'Toole nor Haynes are winning it, it's going to be somebody else, my money would be on Harchla. That guy is just really strong, really driven, and I think is really dangerous for either of those guys. And again, there's 2 or 3 other guys that certainly, again, Antrell Taylor on a given day, capable of doing some special things. So we'll see how it plays out. But at the end of the day, I think most of us are expecting we are going to see a rematch there between O'Toole and Haynes. And sign me up to watch that every time. Again, a coin flip bout. Certainly like Levi's chances, but you certainly understand people not betting against the 2-time NCAA champion in Keegan O'Toole.
Where he's from, Northern Iowa? Where's O'Toole from?
Missouri. Yeah, he's Missouri great. Absolute
Why
legend.
did I think Northern Iowa? Who had Northern Iowa the last couple of years?
Parker Kakaisen will be at 184, and that's who most are projecting will be the opponent for Carter Starachi in the finals at 184. Kakaisen is undefeated in the season, of course, lost to Starachi in the exhibition match, the NWCA All-Star match. But
yes,
Kakaisen will be driven. Kakaisen will be all kinds of fired up. And again, he is really good and really dangerous. And again, that's another one where you feel like you know who's going to be wrestling in the finals before the tournament. But again, it's wrestling. Crazy things can happen. But certainly the expectation is that we'll see a battle of former champions, Parker Kakaisen, the returning national champ at 184, and of course Carter Starachi, who won 4 titles at 174 before making the move up this season. And then 197, I think Josh Barr, in my mind, there's kind of 4. I think there's 4 guys that I'm expecting will be in the race here to win it. There's probably 7 guys that it's like, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if they get on a roll. I mean, Stephen Little is there's a group of them. Michael Beard is certainly really good. Interesting note about Beard is still to this point in the season, his only loss this year was that loss to Barr, and of course Barr beat him by major decision. So to give you an idea of just how good that win was by Josh Barr, you knew in the moment it was a good, impressive win. That's it. That's the only loss Michael Beard has had all season. So anyways, I think I think it's kind of a 4-horse race there with AJ Ferrari. And again, there's some other guys that could figure into the mix, but I really think it's between Ferrari, Cardenas, who is really good on top, Josh Barr, and Stephen Buchanan. Buchanan certainly goes in to the postseason as the favorite. He has been really well tested and has passed all of his tests and has the experience and all of that. I think Josh Barr is another guy who, even since the loss to Buchanan at the end of January, I think has caught another gear here and just is kind of figuring out, oh, you know what, this works, and this works for me against anybody. So we'll see. I think it'll be very, very – the Big Ten championships, the seeding, assuming there's nothing crazy that happens this final weekend, you're going to have the top 3 guys in the country will be the top 3 seeds at the Big Ten tournament, which means Josh Barr would face Jacob Cardenas again from Michigan. And, of course, Barr needed that last-second reversal in the second period of the first tiebreaker to pull out the win that first time. And Cardenas is really, really good on top. I'll be really curious to see the adjustments both wrestlers make against each other if we see that in the semifinals. And then same thing, if Barr is able to get to the finals and get that rematch with Buchanan, it'll be fascinating to see what adjustments are made and how that match plays out. And then obviously potential for both of those matches occurring again when the NCAA championships roll around 2 weeks later. And Greg Kirkfleet, obviously, a very solid number 2. And the question I think everybody has at the heavyweight division is it possible that Gable Steveson could be beat? I think many folks would say no. I think those that would say, well, there's a chance. Greg Kirkfleet would be the only one that they would give any chance. And again, we'll just have to wait and see how that one plays out, presuming that we do see it. And I think we will. I think we'll see it in both the Big Ten and the NCAA finals. But 8 wrestlers ranked in the top 2 of their respective weight classes for the Nittany Lions.
Not bad.
Unprecedented stuff in college wrestling. Take a break here. We are back with much more. It is our Tuesday edition of the Goon and Ironhead show here from Quaker Steak and Lube, and you are listening to Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
2 of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
WFXX, once again, the Fox, your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America.
98.7 The Fox State College, the Goon and Ironhead.
And we are back here on a Tuesday afternoon. Lots of Penn State sports that we can get into, Goon. Again, it's just been interesting to see the divergence of the men's basketball and men's hockey programs this season, because men's basketball got off to a start. Again, I was kind of presuming they're in the NCAA tournament. It was like, how competitive can they be in the Big Ten consistently is kind of where my mindset was. And, we were kind of making fun of back at the start of the season, media selected Penn State would finish dead last in the Big Ten. It's like, oh, man, wait till you see. And they got off to the start, and it's like, yeah, these guys don't know what they're talking about. And, well, they knew what they were talking about. Penn State is in the basement of the Big Ten. Very likely that the Nittany Lions won't make the Big Ten tournament, let alone NIT or NCAA. And again, going a variety of reasons. Obviously, the injuries, Ace Baldwin and Puff Johnson, and lost Yannick there for a couple of games, but it just is. It is very frustrating to see how quickly this thing just completely unraveled for the Nittany Lions this season.
Being a hoops fan, I'm watching it, and it's like my buddy asked me, "Do you think they've quit?" And I said, "I don't think they've quit, because it's just like they just have not finished."
Yeah,
and it's just like one of those things. It's like it's a learned skill, and that is to not quit, and then to finish. You have the opportunity to do it, and it just seems like we never take that opportunity or never hit the opportunity. And then it's like once that does happen, does it like start building on top of that? And that's what you would hope. But losing out on the West Coast 2 games in a row by 20+ points each one was just bad. And that was, did they quit? That's when you got to start thinking that. But then I watched the game the other night against Washington, who was just as bad. And, they didn't, they made the plays at the end of the game that Penn State should have been making. And then, Washington was out with as a 6.5 point underdog across the country. They win the game.
Yeah, that one to me is just devastating for the program. That's at home. That's just a game you have to win to salvage something out of the season, and not being able to find a way to win it, and you can just, I don't know, that the confidence is such a big part of sports, and I just, the lack of confidence that this team seems to have in itself down the stretch is it's heartbreaking. And I don't know. I know there's a lot of people, wow, great job keeping the timeout in your hip pocket where it can't do any good. I've also seen, there are teams, I did think they should have called the timeout there, set something up with the way that game was playing out. I think it just made sense. That being said, sometimes you just have a feel as a coach, and it's like, yep, let's just let them play this out. Let's not overthink it and stuff like that. So I don't know that you always should be taking the timeout. It really did feel good to me. Like, why are you not taking it there in that situation with that game? I don't know. It was frustrating to me to see them not take that timeout, and just a number of ill-advised shots. I don't think they're quitting. It's just, but they're not making good decisions. They are consistently making poor decisions with the basketball, and it's exasperating at the end of the day.
Very much so. And then, there's guys who seem to like to shoot a lot, and the other guys who wish you shoot more, who are not shooting enough.
Yeah.
And then some guys get the ball inside or outside, and the ball's going up, and it is. That's a selfish basketball team right there. And, probably, the most crazy person right now is probably Mike Rhodes about it. Because he will say, we will not quit. I will not quit. These kids will not quit. And they haven't, but they just need to make better decisions in game out of early, during, whatever, just build that momentum, get it going a little bit. And you need that victory. You need that victory you really shouldn't have had, and pull the victory out of jaws of defeat, and get a little momentum building from there, and go in the next year. I mean, how many games are left? 4, 5? I don't even know. I mean, I can look it up.
Yeah, it's
frustrating.
Yeah, they play tomorrow night back at home. And listen, I saw some comments. This is one of those things too. It's kind of a chicken and egg thing. Some folks on social media were trying to get on the fans for not, you didn't support them down the stretch there. You needed to be making noise and on your feet. And while I don't disagree that could help, I also, you've got to give fans the reason to be there and to be excited. And you can say, wow, it's a close game. You should be excited. It's a really close game with the team that you're battling to get out of the basement against, and they're coming across the country. I understand it as far as it goes, and I don't necessarily disagree that, you'd like the fans to be making some noise and to be into it. Also, it would help if you're beating a team like that so that you don't need a last-second shot to pull out the win at home. That feels like a game you ought to be able to have in hand down the stretch. So
there were times that they did, and they just did not pull away. They let them come back, take the lead on them, then they come back, and
again, it was the decisions are with the shots, and sometimes just the carelessness with the basketball, the unforced turnovers or sloppy turnovers. It does wear on you, and I mean on the team itself as well as the fan base. But I think you're out there, you're working, and then we don't even get a shot off because it's just gave the ball away, or you see a teammate take a shot when you have to be thinking, well, what are you doing? Why are we taking a shot like that when we still have 10 seconds to work with the shot clock? I don't know. It's been very, very frustrating. And again, I don't think there's any one component. I don't think Mike Rhodes has done a great job of coaching. I suspect he would tell you that this has not been his finest coaching job over the last month and a half. The injuries are certainly a part of the equation. I just don't, you can, make excuses. Well, you lose probably your second best player in Puff Johnson for the season. And I don't know what, Ace Baldwin clearly is not 100%. And that is, and I think he's trying to do too much. And kind of feels like the onus is on him. So I think that's part of the equation. I don't know. It's been very, very frustrating. On the other side of it, so Penn State basketball, again, going into January, rolling. This is going to be exciting. See how far they can go. Penn State hockey, it's all right, we're talking this season up to a learning experience. I don't think anybody was ready to give up on the program, but ready to give up on this year in terms of any kind of competitive. The NCAA tournament just seemed completely out of the equation. It's they could play better here in the second half, maybe build some momentum toward next year, all of that. They have caught fire, and now they are in position where they could very well make a run here at the NCAA tournament. A huge series. Well, first of all, great job taking care of business against Notre Dame.
Yes.
Because if you're going to take care of business against anybody, make it Notre Dame.
That works.
They get the job done, pull out a couple of very hard-fought victories on Friday and Saturday evening. But now they go to number 1, Michigan State. The Spartans are number 1 this week in the college hockey rankings. And what an opportunity here for the Nittany Lions, who I think are 18th now, right, in the rankings. If they can split, and that is a capital I, capital F, you're going into East Lansing. I get it. I'm not presuming anything here. If you can find a way to get a win in one of those 2 games, Goon, the confidence level, I mean, I think confidence level is very high, and I think this team, knows that it has put some things together here, and we knew they were talented. We knew they were young. We knew there were going to be some growing pains. I don't know that we necessarily thought they would be as substantial as they were in that first semester, and I thought things would get better. I didn't see this turnaround coming. If they can get a win here at Michigan State, though, Goon, like I really think they're going to end up in the NCAA tournament, and I think they're going to be one of the more dangerous teams because they're going to be as hot as anybody in the country. I'm really excited to see what they are able to do. And again, even if they come away with a couple of hard-fought losses, like with what they have done to this point, like it's not a disaster, certainly, but man, if they can get a W here this weekend, it just feels like all of a sudden this program that was left for dead by most, including me in December, I mean, again, not only could be in the NCAA tournament, could be a real factor. It could be a team that does some things in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, well, Alan comes on the radio show all the time. He's a huge hockey guy, and he's always talking about Godowski's ability to get these guys going, and he has them so ramped up and ready to rock and roll at playoff time. And it's the truth. I mean, he has these guys geared, and he has, you want to win every game the whole season, but, it's a building thing, and, he has a young team that no one expected anything to happen out of, and then they start getting a little momentum, and guy keeps on building them up, and all of a sudden now you're talking about going to the NCAA to the tournament, and the Big Ten tournaments first, obviously, but this weekend is this is playoff hockey already. They're going to go into this weekend. It's playoff hockey. They get a point out of that weekend, maybe 2 points out of the weekend. That's amazing.
Yep,
and would be absolutely great. It would be great for this team, as young as they are, because it's only going to build for the future. And that's exactly what Guy is known for when he does get these guys going. He does have these guys ready to go at playoff time every year. I don't care how bad a team he's had. He's always had them ready to rock at playoff time.
Yeah, I'm just really excited. And Aiden Fink obviously is up for postseason awards here. He is now the points leader in the nation in D1 hockey, which is obviously a remarkable accomplishment and puts him in legendary status here for the Nittany Lion program. I just really excited to see what they can do both this weekend and then down the stretch into the postseason. And it feels like they could really, really do some big things here when the postseason rolls around. And hats off to Guy Godowski and
he does a great job, man.
Yeah, and those kids. Again, it's one thing to be coached up, and Guy Godowski has certainly done that. It is another to truly believe, and again, you can buy in, right? I really think Coach knows what he's doing. I believe what he's telling us. It is another to truly go out there and perform at the level they have as consistently as they have after the start of the season that this team experienced. Hats off. A couple of other other sports notes. Penn State baseball, very good start at the Puerto Rico tournament, and really good win against UConn to finish it up on Sunday. And it feels like that program is also on the right trajectory here, and has a chance to start doing some special things in terms of the history of Penn State baseball. And same thing. I'm kind of excited to see what that team this year is able to accomplish in just kind of over the next few years, where this baseball program progresses to for the Nittany Lions. Because again, it feels like they have some special things that are starting to happen, and could be a very special season in the making for that team as well.
Yeah, I mean, you got the facilities. You know, obviously the weather is what really is the downside to baseball up here. It's just horrendous. I mean, Jeff, you and I talk about it all the time off the air. There was nothing worse than like spring baseball. You're hitting in your hand. Your hands are ringing for 3 days, and there's no fun in that. And you know, then going down to Puerto Rico and getting in the nice weather and going out and playing and getting some real good baseball in against some real good competition is great for these guys. And it's only going to, you know, again, they're young. He has a newer team. You know, he has a lot of guys that transferred in, a lot of guys that transferred out, and it'll be interesting to see how they do because they actually have picked up some local players. And then remember the Redland baseball team. They went to the Little League World Series and they made that run. There's a couple guys from that team on this program right now. Be interesting to see. I do like watching baseball. I do have that. I don't know. It's just the American in me. I enjoy watching baseball. At any level, it's a great sport to watch because you grew up playing in all the different scenarios that go through. I like watching them, and I've always liked watching baseball. Speaking of America, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Did you watch it Saturday night?
I did not. I did not see it.
So, all right. I got to get it off my chest.
Yep.
I hope that people in Boston do not boo the Canadian national anthem because I think it's the ultimate disrespect to a country. What happened on Saturday night with the Canadian. That's not the first time that's happened with Canada. So don't sit there and say, oh, we don't like Trump because you've done that in the past, or Canada. So, honest to God, Jeff, I will go to my grave saying the 1996 World Cup was the World Cup. It used to be called the Canada Cup when you and I were kids.
Yep.
And then they had the World Cup was the first year in 1996. And I remember going down in the new Philadelphia Core State Spectrum 2. It was the new what they still playing now, the Wachovia Center, but it was only the second game ever played in that building, and it was Sweden versus Canada. And I'm talking that Canadian team was absolutely loaded, and that Sweden team was absolutely loaded. The American team was actually loaded, and the Americans won the tournament. They beat Canada in a 3-game series to end the year. I thought personally that was the greatest hockey I'd ever seen in my life, of just guys who were just, how do I say this? Like the Kachuk brothers going out the other night and then getting in 3 fights in 9 seconds, okay, and then setting the tone for that game. That's not what those guys do. That's not their job in their real lives. I mean, they Kachuk's they're not fighters. They're not muckers. They're not grinders. They're goal scorers. They're star players.
Yeah.
You go top to bottom on those American team and the Canadian team. They are star players. It's Sidney Crosby. You have all these guys, and they're out there doing all the little dirty stuff that, the fourth line guys were doing. And you got to love that. How much it means to those guys to play in that game. And then in that game Saturday night with, the booing, and then the fights to open off. And I literally thought I was in a surreal experience. I'm like, did like somebody go to the WWF and say, Mr. Keith Conlon, we want you to predict how this game's going to go. I want to start the game with 3 fights, get the crowd, get them going crazy, get them all frothed up, and But just going out, it literally is the best hockey I've ever seen in my life, and I do enjoy hockey. It was amazing.
Yeah, I am looking forward to the
Thursday night
rematch. Yep, Thursday night with Canada and the U.S. I do have a question though.
Go ahead.
There is something about this that tells the world that the NHL is a second-tier professional sport. Is there not? Where you're interrupting the regular season so you can have this
the Olympics
force-fed tournament. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing.
Essence, I really think that this was the NHL All-Star game. They didn't have an All-Star game, so they did this year instead. I loved it. I love because they
All-Star
tried
game. You take a couple
new.
of days off. This you're taking several weeks off.
2 weeks.
It's just that's a little much.
Just like the Olympics.
Yeah.
And I would rather have that than watching an All-Star game, watching anything to do with the NFL Pro Bowl or the NBA All-Star game this past weekend. Watch the hockey that was being played this past week. Has been unbelievable. But I know what you're saying, but I think that hockey is doing everything that I think. I believe I wrote.
No. I just can't imagine baseball. Hey, it's August. We're getting ready for the playoffs. Why don't you guys go for a couple of weeks and play with other teammates and
they do that to start the season
with your teams like that?
They do that to start the season, don't they?
Does that make sense to anybody?
Right?
Or is it just me?
Well, MLB does it to start the season. They have the World Baseball Classics, where that's such a long season. I give hockey credit. They will try different things to build their sport. I really do. And I said on my social media the other night, if you
think this is building the sport,
I mean, watching that game the other night, and as I said on my social media, I personally think that anybody who says that I can't watch the NHL, I just can't get into hockey, and you watch that game and you can't get into it, you're never going to get into it.
Yeah.
Because that was the most unbelievable stuff that I saw the other night. Just the skill and the speed and the ferocity of how these guys are playing. Again, these are stars. This is Sidney Crosby going in the corners and mucking and grinding. And, that's not what Sidney Crosby does with the Pittsburgh Penguins. I love
what
that.
anybody does for the Pittsburgh Penguins this year.
Well, there was a loss last week, by the way, so to the Fly guys.
Oh, yeah, there was.
Yes, there was. Yeah, but I mean, I appreciate the NHL just doing something to try and change it up, the momentum a little bit. It's going to happen in next year for the Olympics anyway, so they think you're going to do it. Is this going to be an every year thing? Let's go back a little bit now too. I don't understand why there's only 4 teams playing. I know Russia's banned right now, so I can understand that. But you have the Czech Republic, you got Germany, Lithuania has a team. I don't understand why there's only 4 teams out there playing, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder how much this is actually building the sport.
I think that we'll see Thursday what kind of viewership they get.
Yeah, I mean it's very good hockey. I'm not disputing that. It just you're.
I give
gearing up
NHL
for the
credit
stretch
to do it.
run of your regular season here. I don't know. It seems very odd to me.
Well, maybe I don't know. I mean, baseball again. They do it. I mean, it's the country pride that's running through all these guys and doing this. And you have the same thing in baseball with the Dominican teams and the Asian teams, and it's just you're playing for your country now, and it means a whole lot more. Now you got to give respect. Now, if you're loading up for a playoff run and your star player gets hurt in this tournament, you're going to be furious as a professional hockey team.
Well, I think you'll feel good because you're building the sport.
Well, all hockey's got to do is build.
Take a break here. You're listening to
for
the
70 years.
Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 24 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing and State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The Fox, the Goon and Ironhead.
And we are back on a Tuesday afternoon. Boy, it looks nice out, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
I am
You
ready
over it?
for spring.
Well, a couple more.
Of course,
storms.
I was ready for spring back at Thanksgiving. I'm less and less tolerant of winter with each passing year. I just don't like the winter weather. Anyways.
You never have you?
I liked it as a kid. Liked sled riding, liked the snowball fights, didn't mind the cold. We'd be out all kinds of hours. As a kid, I didn't mind it. Just each passing year, less and less tolerant of it.
Well, having spent the last 8 days in my home shuttered in as a shut-in with the sickness, so yeah, it's nice to get out and have some fresh air. But it is rather cold, man. You can hear it tonight blowing in. That's thing.
Yeah, wind has been just brutal.
Very much so.
Absolutely brutal. All right. Speaking of baseball,
we got wrestling here. So you got America coming up this weekend, right? The weekend after is the Big Tens.
No, nothing the weekend after.
So you have 2 weeks before the Big Tens and then 2 weeks before the NCAAs?
Yeah, so American Friday night, and then 15 days later, they'll start the Big Ten championships in Evanston, and then that'll wrap up on that Sunday, and then a week and a half later, they will be in Philadelphia, and that'll be a fun one for a bunch of reasons. Obviously, Philadelphia is the site of Penn State's first national championship under Cale, second in program history in 2011. So this is kind of where the dynasty started.
Okay.
And so to go back there with a team that has a chance to set some history, and again, none of it is a lock, but this team, I think, will at least make a run at having 10 All-Americans, will make a run at having 6 or more in the finals, will make a run at having 5 or more individual champions. And so, pretty much if any or all of that happens, well, if all of it happens, then I don't see how there's an argument against this being the best team in college wrestling history. If any of it happens, I think this team will make a strong case, as last year's team had as well, for being the best wrestling team of all time in our sport at the collegiate level. So Philadelphia is just a great setting for this team to have the opportunity to go again, make a little more history.
I mean, I'm not asking you. Is it close? Because there's not. Going
I don't know if we're staying at the same place as last time or not. We weren't all that close last time. I want to say it was about, we weren't that far away either, but 15-20-minute drive.
There's not much down there other than where the stadiums and the facilities are. I mean, I understand that. It would be interesting to see. I'm not going. It would be interesting to see where everybody is staying. Are they staying out in the suburbs and driving in, or are they? Because in between, they can just go to the Xfinity Center in between. There's the Xfinity Live joint in there. There's that holds 15,000 people. So they'll, in between sessions, most people will go in there and there's 10 bars in there, so they don't have to leave the facility.
Yeah,
they got to walk in the parking lot halfway through the parking lot, go to the Xfinity Live, and then go back into the wrestling at nighttime. But I'm wondering where people are staying. I did wonder that, where. I mean, there's only one hotel right near there, but there's a ton by the airport and a ton everywhere else. So maybe it'd be interesting because you guys are different. Because you guys have, the one thing I learned from you from doing the show, and that is that the difference in the wrestlers and the football, where you're all different times. You're not all sitting there. I wrestle an hour. I wrestle 2 hours from now.
Yeah.
So your whole setup is different, and your menus and stuff like that, what each guy likes and stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if you have to be downtown. Will you be in the suburbs? It will be. I would look forward to seeing how it all works out.
Yeah. There's a lot that goes into the NCAA tournament in particular, in terms of yes, where you're staying, and the NCAA sets you up, but then I think you have the option to accept that or to go elsewhere, and even from the practice standpoint, it is different. It's interesting because we talk about everything during the regular season is kind of preparation, right? It's learning experiences to tuck away and put in your mind and under your belt for utilization at the NCAA tournament at the end of the year. But even if you're in tournaments, and most of these teams are in a tournament or two at least during the course of the regular season, that the NCAA tournament is different, both in terms of the crowd and the electricity that's around it, the import of the event, but also just even the schedule. And to your point, like in dual meets, you get a routine. All right, well, I know my 25-pounder is up. I'm now 3 bouts away. I need to do this. This is my stretching routine or whatever it may be. And everybody has their own little, all right, I like to eat here or there. Well, again, it gets spread out a little bit at the NCAA tournament. So, getting the routine down so that it's not disrupted by the NCAA tournament process. I do think the experience of the coaches and of the veterans on the team is important for guys like Luke Liddell and Josh Barr to lean on. And again, those guys have been in big tournaments. I don't want to make it sound like, oh, well, we have no idea what to do. It's a big tournament. But it just is. It's different. That NCAA tournament experience is just a little different. Even from, I've talked to the guys that have been on, in the Olympics, in the World Team Championships, and they'll tell you that David Taylor will tell you, Zane Rutherford will tell you, like the electricity that is around that NCAA tournament, like that Saturday night in the NCAA finals, and even Friday night in the semifinals, that arena is rocking wherever it is that year. And it's just different. There's a different energy around the college game than there is even in the World Championships or the Olympics. Now, again, Olympic gold means a lot with your country and everything, but in terms of I feel like I'm on the big stage. I don't know that anything quite matches that the NCAA finals in our sport. It's
pretty
just
awesome, dude.
Yeah, it's a very unique
Let me go back a little
setting.
bit. How many guys are traveling?
Well, that's a good question. You can only travel with your team the qualifiers. Now, other guys can come out and other guys can work out. That's a good question. I don't know the answer as to how many. My guess is I won't be surprised if all of the guys on the roster work their way into Wells Fargo Center.
They'll be in there, but someone will be on their own dime
on Saturday. For travel expense, yes.
Okay, so let's just take a school like Virginia Tech. They probably have 4, 5, 6 qualifiers. How many of their guys are
probably have more than that? But whatever.
Did they have a travel partner, a training partner? Does he get paid for?
The NCAA does not.
They don't.
They nobody.
Just the qualifier and your
just
staff.
The qualifiers. Now, to be honest with you, I'll have to double check on that. I don't know if any of that is changing now with everything else that's changing. I know there's been a push by some of the coaches. It's like all season long we travel with partners. If we are what does it matter if we bring some extra guys on the bus that we're traveling down? And maybe I'll actually, now that you say it, I will ask about that, because I don't know if that now has changed as well. Up through last year, though, it was only the qualifiers that could travel in your travel party. And the NCAA would pick up the flight fee or, the cost of if it was a bus trip, but you couldn't have, you couldn't have.
Sure, they have restrictions on how many support staff can go to. Otherwise,
I'm not sure about that. Yeah, I don't know that there's a limit on in that regard. But for the athletes themselves, that maybe is loosened, but guys can go down there and obviously work out with your starters to help them prepare for the tournament or in between sessions and all of that.
So they're going down there with the intent to go, work out.
Some of them will. Now, some of them will be just traveling down to be part of the experience. And
how many guys are on the team right now? 25, 26?
No, we have 30.
Above the 30s. College.
I want to say 30. Is it 34, 30? I'll have to look that up as well. But they have.
I guess I should go back to who travels when you went to Iowa. or when you went to Ohio State last weekend?
15 for Big Ten duels.
15 wrestlers.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. It used to be 13, and I think it got bumped to 15. I'll look up real quick the roster here, but yeah, listen, it's going to be it'll be fun to get this postseason underway and see what all kind of happen here, because and regardless of what happens, this is just a very, very special team that Penn State has put together here for the 24-25 campaign. Speaking of baseball, just going back to we're talking Penn State. I was hoping that I have a little more excitement and anticipation for the Pirates, and I don't. It's just so frustrating because they just do not make any moves that get you fired up, excited. They may be marginally better than they were a year ago. The frustrating thing is they have the window here of like 3-4 years with Skeens, and it just feels like they're not going to take advantage of it, and it is just beyond frustrating as a fan to have an organization that just seemingly has no interest in trying to compete for a championship.
What did Mark Cuban say?
Unlike,
why would you change it? You're cashing $10 to $50 million checks every year. Why would you change a damn thing?
Yeah,
and that's it stinks because I'm wearing a Flyers jersey right now, and now the Flyers are owned by corporation. They're owned by Comcast now, so it's not really a specific owner. And once you get into that, that's you good, and you get into just the bottom line is the only thing that freaking matters, and that ain't no fun. It's not any fun, man.
I think it's 38 that are on the Penn State roster.
On Penn State team?
Yeah.
They'll probably all get down there. It's only 2.5-3 hours. So
my guess is they might not all get down there at the start. My guess would be at least the overwhelming majority would be there Saturday.
Would some of the guys who are qualified be like, "Hey, stay in the room with me tonight" or anything like that, or are they just like, "Leave me the hell alone"?
I don't
Everybody's
think.
different.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be the case. Just because, you're trying to make sure you're getting your rest as best you can. That's one of those things going too. I don't know. Like, how well did you sleep the night before the Rose Bowl? Like, some guys are able to just, I always tell the story. I go to sleep, but
I always been like.
But I've talked to guys too that have won national titles. They're like, the night before I got about 3 hours of sleep total. I won't say the
Rose Bowl, but I will say that my first start in 1993, I was throwing up the whole pregame, and I'm getting ready to play freaking Maryland. And we go out win 70-7, and then I always laugh and joke about my senior year, sitting in the locker room, I was sleeping 5 minutes before the game, it was just like you knew what you were doing, you had confidence in yourself and all that, and all it didn't matter what they did, you knew you were better than them and all that. But Rose Bowl, I'm just trying to think now, because it wasn't like an early day wake up or anything like that. And then you had the Miami game the night before, so we were all pissed off about that. So all our bloods were running real high over the Nebraska Miami game. So, but I never really had sleep time. Some guys had, I'm sure it's different now. I mean, you know what I did? I read. I used to read a lot.
Yeah.
And then now I'm sure that these guys probably, I still read. I'll just roll over middle of the night and I'll just start scrolling through my phone, and just find some articles and read a couple articles and stuff like that. So I've always, if I needed to fall asleep, I would, I'll jump on my phone around and I'll read. But I definitely read a lot in college and night before games, stuff like that. I don't really remember if I slept well or didn't well. It wasn't like I was we're tossing and turning. As a younger guy, I was, but once I had proven myself and knew that I was good enough, we were fine.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too, because like that, I always have a tough time. And this is even like when Penn State wasn't competing for national titles in some of the years that I covered the program. That Friday night after the semifinals, I am exhausted. Like, just obviously not wrestling, not doing any of the physical exertion. I am exhausted, and I always have trouble falling asleep that Friday night. Just anticipating what's going to happen on Saturday.
35 bouts.
Yeah, but it's just your mind, races back to, maybe a couple of losses that the kids that you're following had, and it's like, oh man, I really wish that kid just could have pulled that out. Or you're excited because a kid that you weren't expecting to be in the finals got there, or you're looking at the matchups in the All-America bouts the following day. That night, though, it's just always
you're churning.
It's like, I'm exhausted.
When I
drive,
get
to sleep, knucklehead, and it always takes me longer than I think it should to get to sleep. It's like, just shut it down.
If I'm traveling,
and
I'm on the road, and I'm like, okay, I got to pull over and get some sleep, I will lay in bed for 2 hours, still driving in my head. And then nowadays I do notice, because I don't have control of stuff, if I have to get up early in the morning for a flight or for something like that, I can't sleep for crap. I'm a horrendous sleeper. I always feel like I'm going to sleep through my alarm, I'm always like, everything's always freaking me out. In college, everything is always easy, so it's always fun. But I remember in high school playing Friday night football games and coming home and laying in bed and replaying the game in your head. And your feet, my feet always used to, do it. I'd be laying in bed and I'd be going through the football game in my head. I would be sitting there playing basketball, and why didn't I, just pump faked him or drop stepped here or shot the ball there instead of passing, the type of thing. So I definitely had that in high school. After competition, I would still be in my mind, still playing in my head.
Yeah,
but those wrestling guys, they wrestle twice Tuesday, twice Friday. They got 4 matches in Thursday and Friday. So you're talking this year. You might have 40 matches. Oh Jesus! Sleep iron. We'll both be coughing like this still too. By the way.
It is going to be it is going to be interesting to see.
So if there's no Penn State guy wrestling, in a certain 133 and the last Friday night, what do you do?
So, like in the early rounds, I'll try to keep an eye on like whoever I think is going to be in the team race. So like this year, I'll go through the brackets ahead of time, and I'll mark like yellow highlighter for Iowa, red for Oklahoma State, or orange for Oklahoma State, and I'll maybe Nebraska. So I'll try to keep an eye out for, or if we have Center County kids who are
that's true.
Now in school elsewhere.
That's a good point.
I'll try to keep an eye out for those kids. But also, you just kind of, in those early rounds, too, when there isn't a Penn State kid out there, you're just kind of trying to keep an eye out. Hey, is, 1 or 2 seed in trouble? Or, and now, the other thing, like this year, I'll be watching with a great deal of interest Terrell Barraclaw to see with Utah Valley, the former Nittany Lion, to see. I think he's ranked 3rd now in the country. So you keep an eye out. Try to keep an eye out for former Penn Staters as well. And then again, just if there's an exciting bout going on, even if it's two guys with no affiliation with Center County or Penn State or Big Ten, it's like, man, this is just a entertaining bout, 11-9 going into the 3rd period, whatever. So you just try to pick up on that.
But you don't pick one match. You don't. You don't sit there quiet either.
Yeah, no. But when it gets to like Friday night with the semifinals, if there's not a Penn Stater out there, we'll just go back and forth with the semifinal matches. I mean, obviously it's a big deal, and those kids are going to be well known to most of the
it's your favorite
fans.
day.
So, it's that tournament is just Friday is like you can lose the tournament on Thursday, obviously, if you have a disastrous day and you only get one or two through to Friday. You can lose it. You never win it on Thursday. You can put yourself in position to make the move to possibly win it on Friday. Friday is always that's where the big points start getting piled up in the quarterfinals and then the semifinals. So Friday is the day, and it's debatable. I think over the last few years, it's there'll be a lot of people that tell you that the semifinals are the best wrestling you'll see all year, because sometimes the guys get tight in the finals, understandably so. They're on the cusp of their dream, and they're not, neither guy's wanting to make a mistake. I think we've seen less of that in recent years. I think, a few things probably are contributing to that. One of them is these guys are they're wrestling on the big stage now from high school on, and in some cases even before high school. So I don't,
and they've wrestled the same people. Yeah,
and I think Penn State has changed the. I think these guys know, hey, we've got to let it fly here in the finals. Like, not be careless, not go gung ho, but yeah, you got to go try to get points to win a national title here. So. I mean, there's very good wrestling in the quarterfinals and semifinals. I'm not sure. There's some that'll still contend that the semifinals are the.
What's the blood round?
Well, blood round is in wrestlebacks. That's the round
Saturday morning.
Yes. And then
that's the guys who are trying to get on the podium and we're doing everything they possibly can. Their lifelong dream is that.
Yeah. And then. Yeah.
I was exposed to that. Somebody said it was a blood round. I said, why? And they're like, just watch. And they show the podium.
Well, Friday night is
their eyes are popping out of their heads. They're scratched all over. They're cut up. They're limping.
Yeah, and the important points in the team race on Friday night is the blood round, and then Saturday is they'll have the consolation semifinals, so deciding who will go for third and fifth, and then they'll wrestle third, fifth, and seventh. But
and not a lot of people go Saturday morning. It's crazy to me because that's actually some pretty damn good wrestling.
It's
desperate wrestling,
great wrestling. Yeah, you get guys. A lot of times there's a bunch of interesting storylines usually there, but. Usually you have some guys that are finishing up their career. Hey, can I, I'm not winning the national title I dreamed of. Can I come back and get third? Or if they're wrestling for fifth or seventh, can they close out their careers with a win? You obviously always want to do that if you can. And you usually have, on the other end of the spectrum, and then you have everything in between. But, freshman, hey, I want to break through and, score points for my team, finish as high as I can. I think back to Shane Van Ness and Tyler Kasak last year, again losing in the first round and then reeling off 7 straight wins to come back and take third. Like
that was amazing.
It's a big deal when you can come back and get third, or again, no matter where you place, if earning All-America honors is a big deal in this sport, and it's special for those kids that have the opportunity to do that and to go out and wear their school singlet on Saturday and do so knowing that they're an All-American now at their school. So it's special stuff. It's a special tournament. Now you got me all excited. We still got a ways to go to get there. Yeah, it's although man, it is coming quickly. It is amazing
But 5 years ago, they said, "Yeah, well, we're not going to have this tournament." Nope, it's ever. Nope.
It is amazing how fast this season has flown by.
Somebody said they can't believe football was over already, and I was like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah,
I said,
football seemed to take
we played
forever
16 games this year, and they were like, "No." I said the NFL, and I said, "You know what? It does seem that the NFL was pretty quick because I think the NCAA continued on for so long that it was like all of a sudden it was like, boom, it's playoff time."
Yeah,
I got not one mention from the Ironhead.
No, I don't want.
Not even a mention of the Eagles, huh?
No,
nope.
We already talked about them. I talked about them with Booch. We've moved.
Yeah. Me and Booch had lunch today. We were laughing. I was like, because that's the first time I've seen Booch.
Yeah,
because he's just as down and sick as us, and he's just like, "Oh, I didn't think until about the fourth quarter that okay, this is over," because it was like I didn't want to like start sitting there saying, "Okay, they got this. It's 34-0."
Yeah,
it's still Patrick freaking Mahomes. And then did you guys talk about in the air that what my prediction of the game was? I was spot on with it. I said Eagles by 10 to 20 points is what I was saying, but I did not physically bet that game because I was like, I don't think I can bet against Patrick freaking Mahomes. And as I called the final score 38-10 or 38-17 is what I called. And I was damn spot on. I said, Barkley was going to win the MVP and all this. That didn't happen, but he did all the dirty work, and they won the game, and they won big. But I didn't bet it because I could not bet against Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he just scares the living daylights out of me.
Boy, has he ever looked more pedestrian, though, in his life.
My older brother, Buck, I was with him in Florida, and he goes, "Keith, look at the left tackle." And it was a left guard playing left tackle. And it's like, you can get away with that a couple, scratch and claw and get there. But you know what? When you got 2 weeks to warm up and get ready for a guy like that, they're going to get rocked. And then that Eagles D-line, not blitzing one play.
Amazing.
Zero blitzes the whole game. And Fangio didn't have to go to the game, for God's sakes. He gets 43. Yeah, go out there, guys, get it. Man.
Yep. It was
whooping, boy.
Amazingly impressive with that defense in particular did, and just absolutely manhandling the Kansas City Chiefs up front. All right, that is going to wrap things up here for our Tuesday edition. We'll be back Thursday. I think we're going to let me just double check the schedule here. Yep, we're going to do the Thursday show on Thursday this week. And,
sure.
Maybe we'll show up and do it. And pretty good chance that the Goon and Ironhead show will have both Goon and Ironhead again on Thursday. So tune in and check it out. Until then, be good and be safe.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see ya in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing and State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU. Timberland Federal Credit Union. A credit union you can grow with.
WFXS, Huntington.
Your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority. WFXS America.
98.7 The Fox State College. The Goon